welcome back. So in this devlog number 2 on my retro space shooter style game, I set up 5 milestones that I'm trying to accomplish as I build this little demo game. And in this first milestone, things that I set out that I want to accomplish was to create the primitive objects for the player and the enemies, as well as my projectile that the player is going to be shooting at those enemies. I want to make sure that my player was moving left and right and up and down with the arrow keys or the WASD keys. And if the player needed to shoot, they can use the mouse with the left click, or on the keyboard they can use the left control key for shooting the projectiles. The second topic on this milestone was to get the enemies moving in the downward direction at different paces and at random times, whereas the projectile was going to move in the upward direction at a constant rate. And right now I have no limit on the projectiles. I can shoot as many as I want and as fast as I want. Later on I might change that and scale that down either to a specific count. The player has so many arsenal in their shooting ability, or slow down where the player can't spam the keyboard and to get those rapid shots out. And then once those mechanisms were set up, I needed to set up the spawn manager object to hold those 3 enemies and be able to spawn them at random distances across the canvas on the X coordinate system. And they were set to spawn on a set Y position. And then currently right now they're set on a revoke impeding, repeating. That way they're consistently being spawned at a rate of 2 every 2 seconds. And later on I'm going to look at adjusting that and having those enemy objects spawn at random times so the player can't predict their movement and be able to shoot them down. As far as the overall perspective on the goal of the game, right now there is no set in mind on how the player wins right now. It's just set up with the assets, the mechanics of the game, and getting the feel down. Later on we'll adjust some of the extra milestones for this particular demo game. And then moving forward, as I got through and was building out the primitives, I needed to set up and change out the game assets, the primitives into game assets, where I used the graphics kid, was the creator from itch.io. And I like just the simple simplicity of the graphics, just this one specific space shooter graphic for the player itself, one red spaceship, and then 3 enemy objects. There's not a big variety, and we can get to just the simplicity of this example. Right now there is the player can shoot with a set of simple lasers. And later on in the asset pack, it looks like there is maybe a power-up on that laser, maybe a more intense hit. Whereas right now the player can shoot the one set of lasers and it will destroy that enemy object right away. We can look at adjusting that so those enemies have a health value, and the player has to shoot them X amount of times before they get destroyed. And then later on, maybe that power-up laser can then shoot and destroy those enemies in one particular hit. And so in this particular game and on this milestone, I was able to accomplish these particular tasks. And towards the very end, I'm able to play and test and see all the animations on the player and on the enemies, and having them move down, and I can shoot and destroy them on one hit. As I move into the next milestone, I'm going to look at setting up those health systems for the player and for the enemy so that I can take damage, and as well as those enemies can take damage and have them not be destroyed so quickly. There is a way for those enemies in the asset pack for them to shoot back at me if I need to, and I'm going to look at maybe setting that up so it's not so easy for the player to shoot and just destroy the enemies, and that there is no incoming fire, and making it easy. Maybe I might change it up a little bit, but we'll look at the asset pack and see what's available to us in the next Milestone 2 and in the next devlog. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any feedback, please leave me a comment, and I will see you on the next devlog.